Hey everyone, welcome back to the HuntLeague Hunting Rifle Build Series. Today, we are setting up another rifle that I have been wanting to feature for a while. It is the Tikka Roughtech Lite. Now I've got to say, if there's one rifle that gets the most love in the comments section, it has been Tikka. When I started this series, I had no idea the Tikka fan base was this active on YouTube, but I get it, and it's for a good reason. These rifles are incredibly smooth, accurate, and reliable straight out of the box. In this video, we're going to talk through the components of this specific build before we take it to the range. Now, when we kicked off this series, we talked through some of the important decisions that you have to make when picking out a rifle. Things like cartridge selection, barrel length and profile, stock, the trigger, optics, and rings. For this series, we are specifically honing in on rifles best suited for your Western hunter, so it needs to be lightweight and capable at extended ranges. So why the Tikka Roughtech Lite? Well, first off, it starts with the action. The 60-degree bolt throw is super smooth. It is honestly one of the few bolt action rifles that I have never had any type of feeding or cycling issue with. These rifles, they just run. Another big plus with Tikka rifles is you don't have to choose between short or long action. Tikka only makes one action size, so it's versatile and easy to move from one cartridge to another by just swapping out a barrel, bolt face, and a magazine. Like many of the rifles in this series, we are rolling with the 6.5 PRC. There are certainly plenty of other great cartridges, but staying with the 6.5 PRC will allow us to do a more apples to apples comparison between the rifle builds as we take them to the range. We will have some 7 PRC, we do have some 6.5 Creedmoor, there are a few other cartridges, so it's not just 6.5 PRCs. All right, back to the rifle. The Tikka Roughtech comes with a slightly heavier barrel profile, and it comes threaded from the factory. Not having a threaded barrel has been one of my hang-ups with Tikka rifles in the past, but they have really listened to hunters and shooters, and I believe that all their new rifles now come with a threaded barrel from the factory. That's a huge plus. Now the Tikka trigger, it is a crisp single-stage trigger with a clean break. It is user adjustable from 2 to 4 pounds, but you do have to take out the action screws and remove the stock in order to access that set screw. From the factory, the trigger comes set a little heavier than the Bergara rifles and even the budget-friendly CVA Cascade rifle that I bought for my son. Now, most hunters, they're really going to love this trigger as is. Personally, I love setting my hunting triggers really close to that 2-pound mark, right where it breaks. And I want to say that this Tikka came probably just above 3 pounds. I didn't measure it or put it on a scale, but I'm guessing that's pretty close to where it came out. Now the stocks on a Tikka, I would say they're just okay. They are lightweight, but they're also just kind of hard plastic. They do have decent ergonomics though, and they are comfortable to get behind. The Roughtech has a slightly better feel than the T3X Lite, but it doesn't really compare to something like the Bergara square crest stock or the XLR chassis system that you get with the MG Lite. Now Tikka did just recently release the new Ace model at SHOT Show earlier this year, which features a modern pistol grip and a chassis system. It's not going to be a lightweight Western hunting rifle, but you could build it out as a fantastic sub 16 pound with a bipod, the complete build, competition rifle for something like an NRL hunter match. Now the Roughtech weighs in at 7.1 pounds naked on the 6.5 PRC, and our goal was to keep all of our rifle builds under 10 pounds with the optics. We wanted to finish this build off with precision, lightweight accessories. So once again, we're rolling with the Hawkins Precision long-range hybrid rings that have a 25 MOA cant built in with a bubble level in the ring, and they weigh in at just around 3.5 ounces. The direct mount rings also eliminate the need for a base rail on top of the action, and they create a rigid, streamlined mounting system with fewer potential fail points. So I absolutely love those Hawkins Precision long-range hybrid rings. For the optics, we're building all the rifles in this series with scopes in the 4 to 25x power range, as we have the Arkin EPL4 in a 6 to 24, the Burris Veracity PH in a 4 to 20, and the Vortex Razor LHT in a 4.5 to 22. Now, each of those scopes, those are all first focal plane optics. And I realize that the vast majority of hunters are using second or rear focal plane scopes. That means as you adjust that magnification range, your reticle stays the same at all magnifications. That also means if you have a bullet drop compensator or any type of hash marks in it, it's only true at one magnification level, typically your highest magnification. With the first focal plane, your reticle shrinks and grows as you make adjustments to the magnification, which allows those hash marks to be accurate at every magnification range throughout, like a 4x scope range. So we wanted to include at least one optic though in this series that is a rear focal plane reticle. And because the price point of the Roughtech is similar to that of the Bergara Ridge rifles, we wanted to find an optic around the same price point as that Arken EPL4. And that brought us to the new Burris Fullfield 6-24x50, which still features the same 30mm main tube as the Arken. What we noticed right away about this optic is it is incredibly lightweight, weighing in under 20 ounces, making it the lightest optic in this series, beating out the Vortex LHT by 2 ounces and coming in 4 ounces lighter than the Arken EPL4. Now, it is the only optic, though, that does not include an illuminated reticle, which saves a little weight, but it still has your side parallax adjustment, a 4x magnification range, and tactical turrets with a zero stop built in for both the elevation and the windage. Now, I will admit, the zero stop on the windage was new for me, and I wasn't really even sure how or why I would set it. Since it's not capped, having a zero stop setting kind of midway around the dial will help make sure that you never get lost in your rotation without a way to know where it should be set. Typically, my preference is to dial for elevation, but hold for wind. In most situations, I would prefer having a capped windage turret on my hunting rifle so that it doesn't move by accident as I'm carrying it around in my pack or in hand or without me knowing. Now, one thing I really like though about this new Burris Fullfield line is they offer a few different interchangeable turret options. So if you're the type of hunter that wants to just set their zero and never touch it again, you can get 2 cap turrets. If you want tactical style turrets with your yardage and ballistic data etched in, you can do that as well. You just got to check it out on their website, but they have lots of options for this new Fullfield line. Now, before heading to the range, I made a few final upgrades to make this rifle range ready. I added a Picatinny rail adapter to the front swivel stud so that I could mount a bipod. I also threw on a Mystery Ranch cheeky riser to get the right comb height for my eye to be in line with the optic. If this was my personal backcountry hunting rifle, I would have skipped the pick rail adapter and gone with the Salmon River Solutions Hunter rail, no question. It's lightweight, it's more secure, it adds versatility with both ARCA and a pick mounting option. And it also adds rigidity to the rifle's stock. If you're interested in seeing what I'm talking about, I did post a video several months back installing one of these with my son on his CVA rifle. Now, if you also saw one of our recent videos with Wally King at the range, you'll remember we ran into issues using a cheap Amazon bipod. Even on a level indoor bench at an indoor range, the bipod was a total disaster. So for this setup, we went with a RYDR 6 bipod. If you've never heard of RYDR bipods, it is time to take notes. Seriously, you may want to stop what you're doing right now. Go to their website. I met the owner, Hunter Larson, at the Mile High Fish and Hunt Expo in Denver. And this bipod stopped me in my tracks. As I was walking the floor, Hunter was showing it to a few folks at the booth and it immediately caught my eye. This bipod is an absolute beast. Now, it's not the cheapest bipod, but it costs way less than I would say just about any other bipod in its same class. It weighs in just over 20 ounces, but it completely eliminates the need for shooting sticks, as you can easily take a seated or kneeling shot behind the RYDR 9. I mean, that thing is tall for a bipod. And, you know, this isn't a paid endorsement either. There's no affiliate links. I really think that Hunter has built the best bipod for hunters, and more hunters should know about RYDR bipods. I bought this RYDR 9. This is not the match. This is their, I guess, their first version. But I bought the RYDR 9 match bipod for my hunting rifle, which lets you swap from a pick rail on top to an Arca quick release adapter. Makes it a lot easier to pull off and on your rifle. So that's the official setup. The total weight for this Tikka rifle with everything attached is 10.42 pounds. That includes the rifle, the Burris scope, the Hawkins rings, the cheeky riser on the back, the pick rail adapter up front, and the RYDR 6 bipod, which is just a little bit smaller than this guy here, as well as the magazine attached. I would say that is a pretty dang solid setup for your Western hunter that is fighting to balance weight, recoil, and long-range performance. Enough talk. Let's get this rifle to the range and let's see if it lives up to all the Tikka hype that I see in the comments. Today, the focus at the range is the barrel break-in and getting a rough 0, getting some initial speeds and velocity, and seeing how this rifle groups with factory 143 grain Hornady ELDX ammo. Got eyes on it or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a little high. We're touching each other, but they're high.
Hey, that feels good though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me one bit if we're not hitting the red. How about that one?
Like half an inch to the left.
Okay.
So
we got our first 3-round group downrange.
yeah.
I like it. All right, we'll let it cool. All right. First group ever for me with the RYDR bipod. Using JJ, my son's CVA, we pulled, I don't know, that'd be a 3/4 MOA, 0.6 MOA, something like that. But what a game changer. These are the warm-up shots of the Tikka, just getting it rough 0, and so those are our first shots. This was JP's first string of 3. I busted out the CVA just to let the barrel cool. That was the CVA. Then JP shot another group of 3. You know, you get 2 kind of touching. And then that was my first string of 5 with the Tikka. So that's the first 5-shot group. And we'll do another 5-shot group here in a minute. This first one and the second one, both times I had a gun go off right as I was on my trigger squeeze, and I felt like I pulled this shot and this shot. And then so these, if I had to like group was, I had a 1, 2, 3 right there where I felt that I had clean trigger pulls. So that's where we've started with the Tikka. We've got 5 rounds left in this first box, and we're gonna put a new target up and let JP do his work. All right, what shot is this? Is this number 4?
Yeah. I might honestly just not be finding them.
Well, that target's not like a splatter target like the other one.
Yeah.
You might be all right. It'll be a surprise at the end. Last bullet of the day. Here we go. Good trigger squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Honestly, I think it's definitely the fact that I can't see them.
Well, hit the position home or carrier home.
Yep.
All right, it's coming. All right, so while it's on its way home, first impressions.
It's smooth. The trigger pull is smooth. The recoil is not as bad as I thought it was going to be, being so light.
I mean, that whole setup with bipod, with the cheek, was 10.4 pounds.
Yeah. It is a bit of an upgrade from my Savage 110 Tactical.
You've had your eye on this specific rifle for how long?
Probably for like 8 years.
How long?
Probably like 7, 8 years, something.
Are you
like that.
serious?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Come on now. That's the 5-round group.
5-round group.
And who knows which bullet hole is sharing with.
I don't know.
Because I can only see 4, and that is all that is on that.
What threw me off is I saw that. So I was like, oh, that, I think every shot's going. But that's what that is. Probably from 1 to 4 is probably right at an inch. I'm happy with it.
Burris scope.
Honestly, the eye relief on it is phenomenal. I like the 24 zoom. Yeah, it's a great scope. The only thing I need to focus on is the level because I'm just not. Well, but that's the
Just getting used to that because you've never done that.
Yeah, but other than that, it's a dream.
RYDR bipod.
Yeah, the RYDR bipod is. I can't even describe it. I've never used anything like it.
The problem is, it's just going to cost you money.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Like you shoot with it and then go try to pick up a cheap bipod and you're like going to be like,
yeah,
no, give me the RYDR.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good shooting, man.
Yeah.
We're third into our barrel break-in. First 20 shots done.
Yeah.
So we took a total of 23 shots today. Let's measure the group sizes here for you. We took 4 shots to get the rough 0. Then shot our first 3-round group with the Tikka and let the barrel cool while we shot the CVA. JP then did another 3-round group shooting 0.63 inches before I shot the first 5-round group, and JP finished the day with his 5-round group.
After just 20 shots downrange, we are already seeing sub-MOA accuracy, and I expect to see plenty of half MOA groups here soon with just regular factory ammunition. Now, we didn't get to this first range day, though, without facing a few obstacles. First, we picked up a pair of the low rings from Hawkins Precision, only to find that the objective bell was making contact with the barrel. Hawkins only makes a low and a high ring for the Tikka, and the low rings were just barely touching. So I was concerned if we went with the high rings that it would stick way too high. But it turns out the difference between the low and high rings is only 0.1 or 1/10 of an inch higher, which was absolutely perfect for this rifle. Another fail that we experienced was getting to the range and forgetting the little tiny Allen key needed for adjusting the zero stop and turrets on the scope. Our first shot at 50 yards didn't even touch paper, and we needed to move both the windage and elevation significantly past where the zero stop was set on that scope. Thankfully though, someone at the range in a neighboring lane, they happened to have one of those tiny little Allen keys that fit the Burris scope. So we have to move that tool over to the zippered pouch on the Mystery Ranch Cheeky Riser so it always stays with the rifle. Last fail, I brought my son's CVA Cascade XT so that we could alternate shooting the 2 rifles in order to let the barrels cool down between groups. Turns out the box of ammo that I brought from my house was 7 PRC and not 6.5 PRC. Thankfully, I did have just a few rounds of Hornady 147 ELDMs inside the Cheeky Riser zippered pouch, but that only allowed me to shoot 1 3-round group as we wanted to use the entire ELDX box on the barrel break-in with the new Tikka. Now, as much as I love the Tikka and know it will be a half MOA rifle here very soon, I have to point out how the $600 CVA rifle, it just continues to perform. It flat out shoots time after time, and even here with a cold bore, I'm consistently getting 1/2 and 3/4 MOA group sizes. If I'm comparing the rifles, no doubt the action is better, it's smoother on the Tikka. However, I would give the nod to the CVA for the trigger right out of the box. If we drop that trigger weight just a little on the Tikka, they are going to be pretty dang close. But how does this Tikka Roughtech compare to maybe some of the other rifles that we've featured in this series so far? When it comes to accuracy, which matters the most, it competes with the absolute best factory rifles out there. It's shooting sub-MOA groups right out of the box. One thing that I absolutely love about the Roughtech is the barrel profile and weight. It might be my favorite profile amongst all the rifles that we've tested so far. It's going to be really interesting though when we finally bring all of this together and we have hunters inside the HuntLeague community that have to make decisions while keeping a budget in mind. I think Tikka makes a fantastic rifle and they are relatively budget friendly. However, I'm not sure I've seen a rifle that dethrones the CVA Cascade as the best bang for your buck. The CVA, I mean, it has its flaws, and it certainly is not as customizable as the Tikkas or Bergara rifles that we've tested, but for the everyday hunter that doesn't plan to swap their barrels, change their stocks, adjust their triggers, or make us change there, and the scopes, you know, you're not pulling scopes off and on. It is a dang near perfect hunting rifle right out of the box, and it's hard to not recommend it. Now, we are far from done with this series. If you joined us at the beginning, thanks for hanging with us this far. We still have a few more rifles to introduce before we wrap this thing up and we bring in real-world hunters like JP, Noah, Shay, Joe, and others from inside the HuntLeague community. Hang in there as we plan to compare scopes head-to-head in an upcoming video where you'll see what hunters think of the similarly priced, the Arkin EPL4, against maybe this Burris Fullfield scope. And some of the other scopes too that we've picked for the series, like the Burris Veracity, the Vortex StrikeEagle, and the RYDR LHT. It's always great hearing from you in the comments below and answering your questions. Are you in the process of building out or upgrading one of your hunting rifles? We'd love to hear what you're thinking and be a part of that process. If you're interested in participating in one of our videos, you want to come shoot with us, I would encourage you, download the HuntLeague mobile app and join our growing community where we share hunting stories, gear tips, and you have the opportunity to compete inside leagues for amazing titles and custom-built prize packages. Thank you, Tikka owners and fans, for all the comments too in the previous video. There is no doubt Tikka makes a fantastic rifle that is worthy of all the accolades and buzz. If you want to follow this rifle, this specific rifle, into the field this fall, JP bought this rifle and he plans to use it on his first ever Colorado mule deer hunt. So I would encourage you, follow him inside the HuntLeague app. Thanks again for watching and best of luck as you head to the range and field this fall.